Me and Amy, well, Amy found that Trump had actually made a speech. Amy, what's your take on his speech before we play it?
Well, he was saying in his speech that, he doesn't condone what happened at the Capitol the other day where the people supposedly stormed in there, to try to support him. He's saying, I don't condone that. That was wrong. That's not what I stand for. And then he says that he's going to put out the National Guard in Washington, D.C., I believe, for a while, which is sort of like martial law, or is martial law, at least in that area. But I feel that my feeling is that this whole thing was staged, and Trump, he's kind of participating in it in his own way by just continuing the narrative that this happened, but I don't condone it. But I feel that it was staged anyway, just to incite violence and probably to bring in martial law or something like that. So,
Amy, have you got the video up on your computer? Have you seen the size of his hands?
yes, I did. I have it right here.
He's got a big pair of hands.
Yes. It looks a lot like they did when he spoke after he was tested for the virus at the Walter Reed, and it doesn't look right. The hands don't look right.
Well, I said on my other video that when the background is distorted in any way, it means none of that is real. And the background is a little bit distorted, which means he's superimposed in on the top.
Exactly.
It's a bit of a shame they don't explain what all the laws are then, isn't it? What they're standing for, really.
Exactly.
Anyway,
right.
We're going to play the video now. Thank you very much for that, Amy.
You're welcome, Karen.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the troubling events of the past week. As I have said, the incursion of the U.S. Capitol struck at the very heart of our republic. It angered and appalled millions of Americans across the political spectrum. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement. Making America great again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for. No true supporter of mine could ever endorse political violence. No true supporter of mine could ever disrespect law enforcement or our great American flag. No true supporter of mine could ever threaten or harass their fellow Americans. If you do any of these things, you are not supporting our movement, you are attacking it, and you are attacking our country. We cannot tolerate it. Tragically, over the course of the past year, made so difficult because of COVID-19, we have seen political violence spiral out of control. We have seen too many riots, too many mobs, too many acts of intimidation and destruction. It must stop. Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Now I am asking everyone who has ever believed in our agenda to be thinking of ways to ease tensions, calm tempers, and help to promote peace in our country. There has been reporting that additional demonstrations are being planned in the coming days, both here in Washington and across the country. I have been briefed by the U.S. Secret Service on the potential threats. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right. But I cannot emphasize that there must be no violence, no law breaking, and no vandalism of any kind. Everyone must follow our laws and obey the instructions of law enforcement. I have directed federal agencies to use all necessary resources to maintain order. In Washington, D.C., we are bringing in thousands of National Guard members to secure the city and ensure that a transition can occur safely and without incident. Like all of you, I was shocked and deeply saddened by the calamity at the Capitol last week. I want to thank the hundreds of millions of incredible American citizens who have responded to this moment with calm, moderation, and grace. We will get through this challenge just like we always do. I also want to say a few words about the unprecedented assault on free speech we have seen in recent days. These are tense and difficult times. The efforts to censor, cancel, and blacklist our fellow citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous. What is needed now is for us to listen to one another, not to silence one another. All of us can choose by our actions to rise above the rancor and find common ground and shared purpose. We must focus on advancing the interests of the whole nation, delivering the miracle vaccines, defeating the pandemic, rebuilding the economy, protecting our national security, and upholding the rule of law. Today, I am calling on all Americans to overcome the passions of the moment and join together as one American people. Let us choose to move forward united for the good of our families, our communities, and our country. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Hey, I'm back again with the most luscious Amy. Hello, Amy.
Hello, lovely Karen.
Hello, my darling. I can't remember what his name was, but in the chat room, someone put this down. This is where our life changed, 1640, when they did the Ship Money Act. That's when we became maritime.
Yeah.
We thought we'd just look up the fringes on flags, because I don't think we have any, do we, Amy? Unless, well, maybe they are, I don't know. But anyway, you can definitely see sometimes that the American flag does have a fringe on it.
Yes.
It says the constitutional United States flag signifies common law jurisdiction. Well, you'd never know, would you, Amy?
That's for sure, Karen.
Duh.
You'd never know.
No, you'd never know. Anyway, the gold-fringed United States flag is the Admiralty or war flag, which denotes Admiralty or martial law.
Well,
I read that again. The gold-fringed United States flag is the Admiralty or war flag, which denotes Admiralty or martial law. Others have attempted to persuade the I can't say it, Amy. Judy, I can't say it.
Oh.
Hang on. Back now. Judiciary, that fringe on an American flag denotes a court of admiralty, but it says admiralty or martial law. So there's not really much they have to do to bring it in, because it's already there.
I know.
Oh my God. What's up with the gold fringe on flags? When the gold fringe is added to the American flag, Department of the Army fringe was used in the national flag as early as 1835, as its official use by Army dates in 1895. What does a yellow American flag mean? That's what we saw next to Trump, isn't it? When I said he wasn't on a boat. Me and Amy have looked, and it has a yellow ridge on it. They rely on symbolism to achieve this, such meanings as each component is carefully considered before being made part of the flag. It's also used in Christian flag, where its symbol of forgiveness and waters of baptism, yellow, gold, most often represent the sun. Well, that didn't tell us anything. Well, it wasn't that important. Is America under martial law? American Admiralty law formerly applied only to American tidal waters. It now extends to any waters navigable within the United States for the interstate or foreign commerce. With the Judiciary Act, though Congress placed Admiralty under the jurisdiction of the federal district courts. Oh, God. But up there it says, it's, not that one, this one. Oh, where is it? Here it is. It denotes Admiralty or martial law. What do you make of all this then, Amy?
Oh, it sounds like we're under the Admiralty or martial law.
Already?
Yes, already. That's what it sounds like.
You know, you've got, it says, what does the black American flag stand for? What is the black American flag with yellow stripes?
I never even heard of that.
So look, the thin yellow line represents dispatchers. Currently there are over 102 dispatchers serving in America today. The thin yellow line honours all those who serve in public safety communication, including police dispatchers, fire dispatchers and ambulance dispatchers. Right, okay. We'll just quickly look at a picture of the flags. Right, let's go to images. Well, you go there to try and find some information out to help. There you go. It's got these fringes on it. What is that? Right, there you go. Wow. I don't want these people there anymore playing around with everything. I don't want them there anymore.
I don't either.
They're evil.
Or
They're using all this, playing games with us. It's disgusting.
exactly, it is.
Anyway, that's from me and Amy. Added a little bit extra, didn't we, Amy?
Yes, Karen.
I couldn't tell you in real life whether it really was that long ago, but that's the date that they've put on it.
Yes.
Basically, it says it was an Act of Parliament of England. It outlawed the medieval tax called ship money. What the hell's that? We might have to go and look that up. A tax the sovereign could levy on coastal towns without parliamentary approval.
Well.
Oh, there's no little. Oh, there's the boxes. People also ask, what was the ship tax? So that's what I wanted to find out. So ship money in British history, a non-parliamentary tax, first levied in the medieval times by the English crown on coastal cities and counties for naval defence in wartime. Sounds like what we've got today. We just call it income tax. It required those being taxed to flourish a certain number of warships or to pay for the ship's equivalent in money. Wow, God.
Oh, I know.
Have you heard about this before? Because I haven't.
No, me neither.
Right. How did ship tax cause civil war? Ugh. So it caused a civil war, Amy.
Well.
Right, ship tax was an established tax that was paid by counties with a sea border in times of war. It was used to strengthen the navy so that those counties would be protected by the money they had paid in tax. In theory, it was a fair tax against which they could not argue. Fair tax?
Well.
So basically, we're one of the inner counties. Oh, so we wouldn't have had to have paid for it because we don't have the sea. Imagine making other people live on the sea. Oh, my God. Anyway. How did Charles recall Parliament 1640? Charles called Parliament in 1640, then dismissed it again because MPs refused to give him what he wanted. However, he forced to recall Parliament in November 1640. Many MPs were disgusted by the way the PM twisted the laws to get Stafford executed. The evidence, or PYM that is, the evidence against him was very weak. Oh God, imagine that then. That sounds horrible. We'll just read through a few of these for a minute. How did Charles pay tax to people without the support of the Parliament? 1627, with England still at war. We're always at war, Amy. Have you noticed it? War of the Roses before that. War.
Yes.
Charles decided to raise forced loans or taxes not authorised by Parliament. To cope with the ongoing war situation, Charles had introduced martial law. Oh my God, have you ever heard that before?
Never, no.
Oh my God, we've had martial law, which, as then understood, was not a form of substantive law, but instead a suspension of the rule of law. What the hell does all that mean?
I don't know.
Wow. Right, I was just reading through these things. Why was the ship money so unpopular? Oh, well, anyway. Ship money was a tax that could be levied by the monarch without the approval of Parliament. During wartime on coastal communities, it was very unpopular and Parliament disagreed with the king over the tax and the Ship Money Act of 1641 and made it illegal. But the Ship Money Act of 1641 is where we've become maritime. So what, they give the people something horrible, and then they give them something else which they think is getting over that, but actually just made everybody, everything's maritime now.
Yes.
Why did civil war break out? And let's have a look at this. Civil war in 1642. The struggle between King Charles I and Westminster Parliament was Parliament over who should control the army needed to crush the Irish insurrection. That's over the potato famine, isn't it? No, that was later, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Potato famine.
In turn, provoked the outbreak of a civil war in England, 1642. Having pacified all England and Parliament, turned to the conquest of Ireland and Scotland. God. Right. Why was it called Long Parliament? That's the next one, isn't it? Oh, that's personal rule, which we'll look up as well, because that came before this as well. Long Parliament received its name from the fact that by an Act of Parliament, it stipulated it could be dissolved only with an agreement of the members, and those members did not agree to it to be dissolution until 16th of March 1660 after the Civil War, and near the close. It's GNUMINTERREGNUM. What's that?
I don't know.
I can't say it. People can read that word there. Yeah, anyway, so there's that going on. Like, wow. Why could Charles I and Parliament not rule the United Kingdom as one? The period from March 1629 to 1640, and don't forget we're conquering the world from about here as well, later became known as the personal rule, because Charles I did not summon Parliament during this time. The king was weakened in this war because many of the English subjects sympathised with the Scots in their opposition to his religious policies. Right. Why did personal rule end? Hostility resulted in signing of the Scottish National Covenant, and the outbreak of the Bishops' War between Scotland and England. In order to finance war against Scotland, King Charles was obliged to call the Short Parliament in 1640, which brought the 11-year personal rule to an end. Right. Why did Parliament not like Charles? Charles dissolved Parliament 3 times, 1625, 1629, between those 2 times, and in 1629 he dismissed Parliament and resolved the rule alone. This forced him to rise. I'm sorry, I've just got to stop. to raise revenue by non-parliamentary means, which made him increasingly unpopular. In 1646, Charles surrendered to the Scots, who handed him over to the Parliament. Oh. Who invaded the provisions of right? Who was... I can't read... Like, more and more keep coming up. In what day did... Why Parliament won the Civil War? Parliament had support of the southeast of England merchants, London and the Navy. Charles' forces were gradually worn down, and after Oliver Cromwell set up the new model army, I think it's Cromwell that brought the martial law. It's Cromwell that did it. I saw it the other day when we were looking through stuff. Anyway, Parliament won decisive victories at Marston Moor in 1644 and Nesbury 1645. Charles surrendered in 1646. We've only just got through all the War of the Roses, and then all this starts.
Yes.
Seems to me a king comes in and all there is fighting.
Yes.
There's loads and loads there. I wanted to look a bit more about let's go back up. I wanted to look a bit more about the Ship Act. I don't want to go to I might look at it on this one here. Let's look at it on this one here. And then we're going to look up a bit of personal. Oh, I know what personal. Oh gosh, there's quite a lot on here. But anyway, season as an act for declaring unlawful and void the late proceedings touching ship money, and for the vacating of records and proceeds concerning the same. It's quite a lot on here, guys. Don't know if I can read all that. Let's have a look. So I just might leave that up for a few minutes and people can read it. It's massive to read on there. But I never knew all that, Amy. Like,
I didn't either.
Where did that all come from? It's like not mentioned at all. We've been doing about some of these kings and around these kings. They've never mentioned all this, did they?
No, they didn't.
And it looks like this is where we got all our maritime laws from. So it's back to then, 1600s.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'll just leave that up for another minute or two for people to read what that's all about. Oh, wow. And then to get his own way, he didn't rule with the government. He ruled by himself. That's why it's called the personal rule.
Yes.
It's not actually that much like information on it, to be honest. You know, it's not like... Just looking down this list here, so we've got the one at the top. Civil War. Why did people go to war? The National Archives. Have a look at this one then. National Archives. Oh, I hate it when it goes across the page because I might make it smaller. That's better like that because it's too big for the video. Why did people go to war in 1642? Because of Charles's personal rule. Most monarchs disliked having to listen to Parliament. Oh, well, that's the same as today, isn't it?
It is.
However, they always had to call Parliament. What do they want? Do they want us to have a civil war? Is that what it's about?
Probably, yes.
However, they always had to call Parliament because they needed money, and they needed Parliament to agree on the taxes to raise that money. In return, MPs could express their concerns in Parliament about particular issues. From 1629 to 1640, Charles ruled without calling Parliament during the personal rule. Charles began to work closely with his officials to raise money without asking Parliament. He did this very successfully. Charles increased his income from 600,000 to 900 per year. However, he created a lot of bad feelings as a result. In 1626 to 1627, he introduced a forced loan. Wealthy nobles and gentry were forced to pay Charles money whether or not they wanted to. Well, this all sounds like what they've been doing today.
It does.
Except the government's been doing it.
Yeah.
5 knights who refused to pay the loan were thrown into prison without a fair trial and left there. Charles brought in a range of new custom duties and collected them effectively. It's amazing that they put those words in after he's throwing everybody in prison. That's not very nice.
I know.
New custom duties usually had to be approved by Parliament. Charles also sold monopolies and patents. Of what? We're in the 1600s.
Right.
They must have been like we are today. They're lying.
Yes.
These gave control of a particular trade to one individual or company. This meant that other traders either had to pay to take part in the trade, or they might be forced out of it altogether. What the hell's all this? This is crazy. Charles collected ship money. This was a tax traditionally paid in counties that had coastlines. Counties. Well, he's only ruling here, isn't he? So what, he got this tax from the other ones we ruled? Because Charles collected ship money. This was a tax traditionally paid counties. There's counties, not county, counties. That had coastlines. It paid for the navy to protect the coast. Charles forced people in all counties to pay ship money. An MP called John Hampton fought a high-profile court case against ship money in 1637, but lost. It all sounds like today.
It does.
Well, there you go. And this, because somebody put it in the chat room today, I can't remember his name, but this is where the maritime law came in. Should we look that up, Amy? So very quickly look up a bit about personal law. There you go. The personal rule was known as the 11-year tyranny. There you go. They called it tyranny here.
Yes.
That was the period from 1629 to 1640 when Charles I of England, Scotland and Ireland ruled without recourse to Parliament. The king claimed that he was entitled to do this under the royal prerogative. There's a bit more there about it you can read as well. Like quite a lot. Why was it called? Well, we don't need that. Why did the personal rule did not win? Because it didn't, did it? Because it caused civil war. That's why. We've already just done all that. Wow.
Yeah.
So I've looked up when did maritime law come in. It says the ancient roots of maritime law. The oldest maritime laws were created from 900 to 300 BCE. As commerce and travel expanded, so did the need for laws governing maritime activity and the treatment of workers engaged in these activities. Why was maritime law created? So look on here again. You can read that one. Who wrote maritime law? It was pushed at around 1160, even though it was written before that. So, is America under maritime law? The federal district courts have jurisdiction over Admiralty and maritime actions. Wow. Why is maritime law so important? It's considered as extremely vital for any type of occurrence and open water. Maritime laws are of extreme value and significance for governments, corporations, and individuals. They are laws which ensure the appropriate behaviour of people and organisations. Oh my God, it's getting more complicated. What is the difference between maritime law and Admiralty law? Admiralty law is also called maritime law in a combination of US, so we've gone to US now, and international laws that covers all contracts, torts, injuries or offences that take place on navigable waters. Admiralty law traditionally focused on oceanic issues but has expanded to cover any public body of water including lakes and rivers. Right, let's have a look. What is the main source of maritime? Only the legal sources of private maritime law proper will be dealt with in all this article. These sources are essentially 5. Written law, custom, written agreements, court decisions, and... Oh my God, Amy, hang on. Jurisprudence. You said you've heard of that, Amy?
Yes. It just means, I looked it up, it said the theory or philosophy of law, like a legal system. For example, American jurisprudence. So it's basically a legal system, I suppose.
Right. Okay, then thank you for that, Amy. What is the
You're
most
welcome.
important... Oh, thank you, Amy. Sorry, I think you're talking away there. Sorry. SOLAS, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, is in successive forms is regarded as the most important treaty dealing with maritime safety. The first version of SOLAS was adopted as early as in 1914 in response to the famous Titanic disaster of 1912. That's an international one, because they claimed their boat. What is general maritime law? This is when, so it's back to Charles I when we got the maritime law, and since then everything has been berths and docks and death and everything. It's incredible, isn't it, Amy?
It is, Karen, yes.
General maritime law is a body of US maritime law. Why is it just US? It's all of us, isn't it?
Right.
Developed by courts other than by statute. General maritime provides common law remedies to any person who suffers an injury at sea, despite the fact that the individual is unable to file a claim under a federal statute. Oh, just look at that. They've mentioned about 5 different laws all in one. There's common law in there. There's maritime laws. America. Like, what the hell's going on? Why aren't we mentioning this? Why America?
I don't know.
Does maritime law apply on land? Well, it does, doesn't it? Matters dealt with Admiralty law include maritime commerce, maritime navigation, salvage, maritime pollution, seafarers' rights, and the carriage by the sea of both passengers and goods. Admiralty law also covers land-based commercial activities that are maritime in character, such as marine insurance. Don't really know what that's got to do with it, but anyway. Who enforces maritime law? It's fallen into the hands of the US Coast Guard, 1790. Wow!
I know.
The Coast Guard is also able to assist in the enforcement of international agreements. What?
Well.
Is Canada under maritime? Let's have a look. Canadian maritime law is uniform throughout Canada. Yeah, they've got it. Well, they would do, I suppose, wouldn't they? They're part of us. Who has jurisdiction over the high seas? Ah, so this is how they control the seas when we're not on them or we're on them.
Yeah, right, I guess.
Ships sailing the high seas are generally under the jurisdiction of the flag state. What the hell's that, Amy? Oh, if there is one. However, when a ship is involved in certain criminal acts, such as piracy by any nation can exercise jurisdiction under the doctrine of the universal jurisdiction. It doesn't make sense. This is crazy.
It is. I know.
What are the 2 major legal systems? They don't say that. They say there are 2 types of systems, which most countries adopting features from one or the other into their own legal systems: common law and civil law. So the civil law is the corporations, and we want the common law, which they seem to be trying to fade that out, to be honest. Or they use it in court when they want to use it. You know, they use it to suit themselves.
Right.
In public, the counterpart is known as the law of the sea. The bulk of maritime law handles the process of carrying goods through the seas, rules concerning protection and maintenance of the ship at sea, registration, damage to the ship's marine insurance. What does the gold fringe on the flag mean? Oh, let's have a look.
Yes.
The constitutional united flag signifies common law jurisdiction. The gold fringe United States flag is the Admiralty or war flag, which denotes Admiralty or martial law. What? Others have attempted to persuade the hang on, I can't say the word. Got it now. Judiciary. That fringe on an American flag denotes a court of admiralty. But wait a minute, I want to read that again. The gold fringe United States flag is the Admiralty or war flag, which denotes Admiralty or martial law.
Well,
What do you think that means, Amy?
I'm not sure.
We already know that America's flying a war flag.
Yes. But I saw something, I was Googling, and it said a gold fringe flag. It says the gold fringe flag stands for no nation and no constitution. You are under Admiralty law of the sea, the Holy See of Rome, not constitutional law or common law of the land, or civil law.
Right, so common law is for the land, and the Admiralty law is for the sea. But it's almost as if England is a ship on the sea, and America is a ship on the sea.
Yes. That's what it seems to me.
Is there law at sea? International law dictates that all ships are required to be registered with a territory somewhere and come under the jurisdiction of the territory, as do their passengers. If you're sailing a British ship, you're subject to British law. Well, I'm a bit more confused now.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll listen to it back, and maybe we might add a little bit at the end, Amy, once we've listened to it again. But how many miles of coast? I don't understand how we're living in Admiralty law, and that's the most important thing, when we've got common law, which is of the land, and they want to keep us in Admiralty law.
Yes.
Wow.
They don't want us to have our rights, if you ask me. They want us to be subjected to the Admiralty or maritime, but we should be under common law.
Yes. Hey, should we hear? We're just going to stop this video and listen to what we've done, and then we'll finish it off. So, Amy, you said that you'd looked up something.
Yes, I just put in common law versus maritime law, and it just says it is the choice of the parties to bring their case in state or federal courts. Possibly the most critical difference between maritime law and common law courts is that Admiralty judges only apply general maritime law and conduct trials without juries. So that's kind of confusing, but I think basically it just means that we are supposed to be under common law, but we're just under Admiralty or maritime law. And I saw it said, is America under maritime law? And it said, American Admiralty law formerly applied only to American tidal waters. It now extends to any waters navigable within the United States for interstate or foreign commerce. With the Judiciary Act, though, Congress placed Admiralty under the jurisdiction of the federal district courts. So it's still very confusing, but I think it just comes down to that they have us under the maritime law, and the Admiralty law, and we need to be under the common law, kind of like how Claudia was talked about before.
Well, it seemed to me that there was something horrible in place which nobody liked, which was a bit different to this, but not far off this. And then they bring this in, and this is where all our law comes from, whereas we should be with common law, and maybe, I don't know how you bring the maritime law in, but how can they be judging everything in maritime law? Well, it's a ship on the ocean.
Yes, I don't know what they're trying to tell us, that we don't really have a country to protect us, or like we're just like like ships in the sea, and we don't really have a country to.
Yeah, and that bit about martial law, Amy, that means that nobody has to really go for it or anything, because it's part of the it's part. It doesn't say that in your constitution, does it? But it's part of.
No.
It's part of it, and so they don't really have to do anything. It's already there. They can just say, "I'm bringing in martial law for that reason."
Yes. Exactly.
I feel even more confused than I did before, but hopefully, Amy, we've made some sense to people.
I know. Maybe they understand it. Maybe they can enlighten us if they understand it.
Well, we're gonna finish now because we've been going for nearly half an hour. But I just wondered, with everybody like to put their comments down, but it just seems utterly ridiculous. Actually, one thing we're gonna do one more thing. Hang on. What does the gold fringe on a flag mean? We've already done that one. There it is there. Okay. It means that it denotes Admiralty or martial law. Then I put in, what does a yellow fringe on a flag mean? It's considered that the fringe is used as honourable enrichment, only military tradition. The courts have deemed without merit and frivolous lawsuits that contend that the gold fringe adorning the flag conferred Admiralty maritime jurisdiction. Well, that's double Dutch.
I know.
It's got more colours yet. Wait a minute. It says, what happens if there's a maple leaf on the flag? Oops. The maple leaf with the design on the flag new featured a similar symbol that had a long history use in Canada. The maple leaf emerged in the 19th century as a symbol of Canadian identity and was everywhere in popular culture, books, songs, coins, badges, banners, and many other things. What does the leaf represent? Well, is flag with gold fringe? Question mark. So we'll look at that one. There's nothing in any flag codes that states the purpose, the legality of the gold fringe. However, the fringe is mostly considered to be acceptable flag etiquette. Oh, is America? Oh, we've done that one. Amy, shall I put? Are we under military rule? Are we under, what is it called? What is it we said that Trump wanted to call?
Martial law?
Martial law, yeah. Are we under, martial law? Right, press the button. Can martial law be declared in the United States? On the national level, both the US President and the US Congress have the power within certain constraints to impose martial law, since both can be in charge of the militia. In each state, the governor has the power to impose martial law without the borders of the state. Is martial law in Australia? It would remain in force. Is martial It would remain in force for more than 3 years, the longest period of martial law in history of the British colonies on Australian continent. As of 2020, law has never been declared since the continent became a nation. When is martial law? But I think we must be in it because of the flag. September the 21st, 1972, became the official date that martial law was established. It wasn't, was it? Because we've had it before. And on the day that the Marcos dictatorship began. This was also called the Makos to control history in its own terms. What the hell? Do you get that? Do you get that?
Excuse me.
Do you get that, Amy?
Can you say it again? Sorry.
That's all right, yeah. Thus, September the 21st, 1972, became the official date that martial law was established and the day that Makos dictatorship began. Makos. This also allowed Makos to control history on its own terms.
How you spell Makos?
Marcos. Do you want to look that up, Amy?
Yeah.
What the hell is Makos law?
Marcos.
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 It's a dictatorship.
Okay.
And it said began, so this is in force.
Okay.
Oh, it might be to do with Australia. Is there
maybe. Let's see. Here it is. It was Philippine. Human right abuse of the Marcos dictatorship.
Right.
It was Philippines.
Okay then. Well,
But I think the United States has only had martial law in certain areas for a little while, like if they had riots or something. So we've had it, but not like the whole country at one time.
it says martial law represents the imposition of rule via military authorities on an emergency basis, such as foreign invasion, rioting, or natural disasters. It is usually imposed on a temporary basis if the civilian government fails to function properly.
Some people are saying that he wants to put martial law in now. I just saw that. Trump for United States. I just saw it when I Googled it. It said martial law 2021 came up. So, yeah, they've been talking about that. The Insurrection Act is also martial law. So maybe he's been trying to put in martial law. There was rumors going around that he had put it in, but I don't think he has.
Here we go. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is the United States federal law that empowers the President of the United States to deploy U.S. military and federalized National Guard troops within the United States in a particular circumstances, such as to suppress civil disorder or insurrection or rebellion. It's really strange that he is being done for insurrection. Amy, what does insurrection mean?
Insurrection be like I guess like a major. Let me look it up. I'm thinking like a rebellion or something like that. But the Insurrection Act, it was made in 1807.
Yeah, I can see it there. Yeah, it's in front of me. What does it mean?
Let me see. Wait a minute, it's being a little slow. Insurrection. It means violent uprising against an authority or a government. So I guess our Insurrection Act would be to, put in the martial law to stop that.
Sounds like a film, doesn't it, Amy? The Insurrection.
It does sound like a film.
Wow, it doesn't all stick together, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It carries on and on. Me and Amy, we're going to finish now because I'm even more confused now than I was before we started.
It says Insurrection Act of 1807 is the United States federal law that empowers the President of the United States to deploy U.S. military and federalized National Guard troops within the United States in particular circumstances, such as to suppress civil disorder, insurrection, or rebellion, like you had just said. So yeah, so it's basically so he can put in they could put in martial law if they thought everybody was rebelling or anything.
Right, let's have a look. It's got a little bit here. It says, what happens when President declared national emergency? How many national emergencies have been declared in the US? Between the enactment of the National Emergencies Act in 1976 through March the 13th, 2020, 69 emergencies have been declared, 34 have expired, and another 35 are currently in effect, each having been renewed annually by the President. What? It sounds like we're already in martial law.
Yeah, I mean, it has a list of all, it says 68 times in limited, usually local areas of the United States. Martial law, this is in Wikipedia, martial law was declared for these reasons: twice for war or invasion, 7 times for domestic war or insurrection.
Have you noticed the times you thought it would happen would be in the world wars or the civil war? They're not doing it in the wars, they're doing it after the wars. Or before the wars.
Yeah. It was twice for war, 7 times for domestic war or insurrection, 11 times for riot or civil unrest, 29 times for labor disputes, 4 times for natural disaster, and 15 times for other reasons. Habeas corpus was suspended federally only once, in 1863 during the Civil War.
Right. Well, I hope maybe this has sorted it out for some people, but it's made me a bit more confused.
Yeah, me too. I think the
What
basic
a load
idea,
of rubbish.
yes. I guess the basic idea, we were saying that the maritime law came in under, which king was it now? Charles the First? Is that the king we were just starting?
Yeah, we started off with Charles I and when maritime law came in, when he was in rule.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I think we're probably still under it, obviously.
Sounds like it, doesn't it? I asked the computer. I said, "Are we under martial law?" It hasn't said we are, but it tells me Pakistan. When was Pakistan under martial law? Is the Philippines? Can the military be used for border security, for law enforcement? Can the National Guard make arrests? What is the duration of a national emergency? Let's have a look. It's a weird thing to put. Under Article 352 of the Constitution, because of the prevailing internal disturbance, the emergency was in effect from the 25th of June until it was withdrawal on the 21st of March 1977. I was there then! Maybe that's talking about the Philippines. It says President. It must be the Philippines. Yeah, I was going to say, I was in America then.
Oh, yeah, right. That's right. You had come to America then.
I was 16. Oh, my God. I don't get any of this.
Me either. You practically... Well, it's kind of like, is it sort of like in the Hangout when they were talking about the legalese and all this language they use, and it's really hard to, hard to figure out.
Well, we're going to stop there. We've read a bit more, and this sort of video happened because somebody said it in the chat room. So I was just hoped that I was going to be reading all about martial law, but we've gone right round the tables, and I don't know. I don't. Oh, anyway. Amy, thank you so much for your time. At least we've explained a bit more. If people didn't understand that that's what we're living under, there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, thanks for helping me, Amy.
Oh, you're welcome, Karen. It's just a lot.
It is.
You just get more questions, but I guess if you want to learn the truth about anything, there's not really a concrete answer, so you do have to keep digging, and that's what it's all about when you try to learn the truth. That's why we get more questions.
Oh, there's something here, hang on, about it. It says martial law in times of disorder. Further, martial law suspends all existing laws as a civil authority and a military commander's authority under martial law. Oh, where is it? I just read it. Oh, here it is, sorry. The answer, at least in America we live in today, is that he would fall. It means the president cannot simply declare martial law at his whim. The federal officials placed in territory of Hawaii under martial law, though, right. Well, you can't just say, oh, that's it, I want martial law, and it happens. You have to obviously put it to Parliament, but another one, though, what it is the post's a lot bigger, but we're just reading the headlines. 2 days ago. And that other one was December. How does it differ from martial law? Insurrection Act. It was evoked in 1992 by George Bush, Biden, during the unrest in Los Angeles after that, wherever that was. We had every reason to suspect there would be some sort of trouble. Wow.
Probably that Rodney King riots. L.A. There was a black man was beaten up by the cops, and the cops were tried, but they were found not guilty, so the black people went out and rioted, and they had to put in a martial law. I bet that's what that was. And shortly after, we got the O.J. Simpson event, and they tried to say that's why they didn't convict O.J., because it was retaliation for black people, just all the race wars that they try to start here in America and make everything, divide up the races and cause that kind of tension.
The only people that keep stepping in and causing the problems are the kings and the politricks.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, Amy, we've been going for another 20 minutes now, so we're going to stop. But hopefully we've explained a little bit to people, even if you get more head, through it.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome, Karen.